Hello, it's Olivia Arims again, and in this video I'll be sharing dating mistakes that young people make. For those of you who are watching me for the very first time, I am glad to have you here. Welcome to my channel. May I also request that you go back to my very first video, the introductory video, where I talked about the encounter that I had with God. This is important because it gives you a bit of perspective into what I'm about and why I talk about these things. But for the benefit of even my second time or third time viewers, I'd like to restate that my mission is to help young people avoid avoidable mistakes, to help them avoid the pitfalls that has the capability of compromising their walk with God, to see that more young people are spiritually rounded, they're living lives that are pleasing to God. And relationship is one of such facets of life that culminates into the totality of our Christian experience. Relationships have the capability of undermining a believer's walk, has the capability of taking people off track and leading them into things that they need not do as children of God. And it is my hope that when I share all of these and you understand, you'll be able to avoid some of these mistakes and continue to have a rewarding experience as a Christian. I know that many people say, and they think it's cute, that, oh, they kissed a lot of frogs before they met their Prince Charming. However, I'd like to state that they need not have kissed so many frogs. The truth is, they went through all of that experience because of naivety, because of mistakes that they could have avoided, and they would tell you that in hindsight, they would have done a lot of things differently. This is what I hope to do, to bring forward all of the experiences that many people learned at the tail end. But before getting right into it, I also want to put a disclaimer that this is in no way an indictment on those who have had many relationships. I have had a number myself, even though I like to think that there are few, but it is not a stigma at all. However, my greater mission is to hold nothing back, to share the truth insofar as it benefits young people, insofar as it prevents people from making mistakes, insofar as it makes their Christian experience a better one. So I will share whatever the Holy Spirit lays in my heart to share. Now, why are we talking about dating mistakes? Why can we avoid having a long chain of dating mistakes? One of the things is that so much history, it just creates so much history that you need not transfer into other relationships, because all of this history from each failed relationship becomes baggage. For most people, it ends up becoming baggage, and this baggage is the reason why many people are unable to adapt into their new relationships. It's even the reason why relationships that could have been really beautiful ended up ruined. It also means that people would have been hurt one too many times, and having gone through too many hurts, for most people, it ends up making them cynical, or ends up making them really scared to try again. And also, with every new relationship that the person gets into, they're exposing themselves to risks that come from falling into sin, risks that come from exposure to things they're not supposed to do. So the fewer the relationships, the better for all of us. Thank you very much. Now let's get right onto it. The first foundation I'd like to lay is that there is such a thing as dating at the right time. Now let me lay a foundation. For people who are spiritual and that walk with God, they may have had experiences where they said God told them who their husbands were or who their wives were. They had a revelation, they have a prophecy. But even in a situation where there is a prophecy, where there is a prophetic word, there is also the matter of timing. So there's dating at the right time with regards to prophecy. There's also dating at the right time where you're making your own choices. There is a wrong time to date. We're going to establish our foundation and look at some of the things that people could have done differently. When is a wrong time to date? One, as a teenager or before you're ready to get married. A teenager has no business being in a relationship. What are you doing in it? This is where many people begin to make mistakes that even as way into their 30s, they never recover from. You have the business being in a relationship as a teenager. You also have the business being in a relationship before you're ready to get married. I'd also be debunking some popular narratives of the world. People will tell you that not every relationship must lead to marriage. Yes, it is true that not every relationship must lead to marriage, because the relationship phase, the dating phase, is actually a period where you get to know each other, where you court and determine, are we aligned, can we get married. If in the process of dating or courtship you realize that you have stark differences, or the relationship is not working, yes, the relationship should end. But please, what was the relationship about in the first place? What was the purpose? Wasn't the purpose to get married? Now, how do we justify the assertion that not every relationship should lead to marriage? Not every relationship should lead to marriage, but every relationship should start with marriage as the end goal. Now, another popular narrative on the street is, it's okay to date for fun. I don't want to get married, we're just dating for fun. What does that fun mean? Child of God, if this fun will lead you to sin, it's not something you should be doing. This is not the way of a child of God. You shouldn't get into a relationship that will lead to sin. If it's not going to lead to sin, I wonder, what is this fun? Maybe some people need to define what fun means. Another consideration is, if you're in a relationship for fun, is the other person in a relationship for fun, or they want to get married? Because if they are being serious with you, whereas you're there for fun, you're not being fair, you're wasting their time. And this is not the attitude of a child of God. You should be considerate of others. You should be honest in everything that you do. The second is dating to meet selfish needs. Are you dating someone because they have money? Are you dating someone because it looks good on your CV that you dated this person? Are you dating someone because you're trying to get over a previous hurt? Whatever reason that you're dating that is really about yourself, that is selfish, is a wrong time to date. Don't date when you're in that state. And I'll also state, with regards to dating for selfish reasons, the primary reason why a person should date is that they want to get married. And why do you want to get married? You want to get married for destiny supports. In another video, I think I'll talk about what it means to discover yourself in order to know who is instrumental to your long-term vision, who is instrumental to your destiny. But the primary reason people should be in a relationship is that they want to get married. I want to get married for destiny support. You want to get married for companionship. And predicated here is that there should be love and there should be alignment. When is the wrong time to date? When you're dating in response to pressure. This pressure could be from family, this pressure could be from friends, this pressure could even be from yourself. Maybe you've set goals, maybe you're uncomfortable being single. Oh yes, it is a good time to state that please be comfortable in your singlehood. There is nothing wrong in it. Let's even flip the script. You should actually be proud stating that you're single. In this day and time where everybody wants to be in a relationship, it is a thing of pride to say, I'm single and I'm not searching, I'm not ready, I'm taking the time off. Yes, you should be comfortable stating that. I don't even know when it became a thing of shame or a thing to hide to state that you're single. Why? What's wrong with it? You're taking your time, you've not found the right person, or you're busy, you don't have the time for a relationship just yet, or you're not in that mental frame of mind. Own it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. So do not put yourself under pressure to be in a relationship. Do not put yourself under pressure because you think you've been single for too long. Please, no. Another time that is wrong to be in a relationship, basically because you're broke. For many girls, I used to joke about it back then. When I first started out life, I hated the idea of paying rent, and then I'll jokingly say, please, I want to get married, so I'll stop paying rent. But please, on a serious note, don't get into a relationship because you need someone to bail you out of a financial mess. It is the wrong time. It is the wrong motive. Don't get into a relationship because you need someone to pay your bills, to sort whatever it is. It also ties to getting into a relationship for selfish reasons. But please, don't get into a relationship when you're in this frame of mind. Dating because you want to have sex. Once again, the way of the world will tell you that get someone that you're exclusive with and have all the sex you want. It may seem nice on textbook and it may seem justifiable. Oh, it's your body, it's yourself. You can have sex, it's just one person. No, it is wrong. God's standards haven't changed. Fornication is still wrong. Completely wrong, and it will never change. And so even if it's with one person, as long as it is not a formalized relationship, as long as you're not married, it will continue to be wrong. You cannot psych God. And remember that as children of God, even if it's your body, the word of the Lord has said that you should present your body to him as a living sacrifice, that your body is the temple of God. You must not forget this. So no matter how stirred up you are, no matter how much you think it is difficult to put your sexual urges under control, do not get married to have sex, because we're talking relationships now. Do not get into a relationship to fulfill sexual desire. You've just stepped into disaster. You're wrong, categorically speaking. And I also know that this is a recommendation that people get when they're getting married. Don't get married because you want to have sex. I know that the Apostle Paul had said that for people who cannot control themselves, it is better to get married than to burn out of passion. But guess what? For a person, because back then there were many apostles who were just strictly committed to the gospel, strictly committed to the evangelical work, and then some of them realized that, they had passions for sex. But the passion is not the primary reason they will consider. They would not just randomly see a person and say, this is the person. No. At the time when they realize that they need to get married, they would also check that all the other criteria means. They'll check that this person is a Christian. They'll check that they love this person. They'll check compatibility. So please don't get into a relationship because you want to have sex. Another reason too is, don't get into a relationship at a time when you think this person can meet certain needs of yours. For instance, back then in the university, there were girls who would get into a relationship with a guy because he was smart. They'll get into a relationship with them because it would help them with their assignments. It would help them with studying during exams. In some cases, this person would even help them write their exams. For people who were about the extroverted life, who were very outgoing, they liked a person who could show up with them to events. They would date a person who had information about all the happening places. That is not a good time to be in a relationship. If you're at that phase of life where you're looking for social activity, if you're at that phase of life where you're looking for someone to support you for selfish reasons, that is an indicator that you should not be in a relationship at that time. Another reason is dating because you're trying to get over a failed relationship, the popular rebound. Yes, it has happened to the best of us, but it is a bad time. If you're dealing with a heartbreak, if you're dealing with hurt, if you're dealing with grief, please do not immediately start thinking of getting into a relationship. Even if you think that everything is all right, you think that, you're not hurt, you're over it, you're fine, please still give it time. Still give it time. Give it 2 months, give it 3 months, give it 4 months, depending on the recovery. But please give it time. No matter what, let some time pass. If you have someone in your space at that time that is propositioning you and you think that you like them, be honest with them. Tell them that you've just got out of a relationship and you like to give it some time. If they are serious about you and they love you and they know that you are going to be a right fit for them, they will wait. And they will appreciate your honesty rather than getting into a relationship and you're using them as a rebound. Because guess what? When you've overcome that hurt, you've used them to get over that hurt, the reality stares you in the face, and it could be that you don't want to be in a relationship with that person. You've wasted your time. You've ended up hurting yourself and hurting that person. A lot of mistakes will come, misaligned expectations. So please, there's so much to say here, but that's a wrong time to be in a relationship. The next point is dating someone because everyone else likes that person for you. Dating someone because they have wonderful qualities. Let me state that a person is good doesn't mean that they are for you. There are so many good people in the world, but they are not for all of us. Each person has the person that is best suited for them. So that the person is good, that the person has amazing qualities, that everyone thinks that they are good for you, doesn't mean that you should date them. If you've personally not had the conviction that you should be with them. Yes, sometimes what your family and friends are saying could be an indicator that there is something you're not saying, could be an indicator that there is something that you're missing, but you also need to get to that point of realization yourself. You also need to be able to see the qualities that they are pointing out. You also need to see that, okay, great, I want to be with this person. Unless you reach that realization, getting into that relationship will lead to disaster. Maybe the relationship could have worked out. Maybe they really would have been right for you. But getting into it at that time before you have realized by yourself that they are good for you, would ruin the chances of something beautiful happening. So please don't get into it just because other people say they are good for you. You should also see that they are good for you. You should also desire that relationship. Another bad time. When is the wrong time to get into a relationship? Get into a relationship when it's a bad time for you. What could be a bad time for you? Maybe you're too busy with work, or you're too busy with school. You don't have time. You would end up hurting that person because you'll not be available for them. When is a bad time? When you're dealing with a personal loss, when you are not in the right frame of mind. Maybe things are going bad for you at work or in school, or there's a lot of problems with your family, or you're experiencing a setback in your business. That may not be a good time to get into a relationship, because you will hurt the other person, because you'll not be emotionally available, because also to you may not just be able to commit to that relationship. You're going to be doing a lot of things from a place of hurt. Timing matters. So this person may be good for you in the long run, but at that particular time, you need to resolve what you're going through. You need to resolve what you're dealing with, because unless it is resolved, you will end up hurting the next person. And because that relationship may end badly, it may ruin the possibility of you guys starting all over on a good slate. So please don't ruin a good thing. If truly they are for you, let them know that you're dealing with something at this time, that although you would love to start a relationship with them, you just do not think it's the right time. They would appreciate this, and you'd have also saved yourself the hurts and the burden that will come with hurting someone else. You'd have also saved the relationship for a better time when it can work out. Supposing they are still available. If they are not available, all things work together for good. Great. Now that we've established the timing foundation, now let's get into discussing the actual mistakes. Before I get into discussing the actual mistakes, I'd like to say that there are so many mistakes people make, an infinite number. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to discuss only 5 of these dating mistakes that people make. One of them is dating out of pity. Never date anyone out of pity. No matter how much they are pressuring you, maybe you think that they are going through a bad time and you want to be there for them. For the guys, some guys are saviors. Captain, I don't want to use the word people use. Captain, save a damsel in distress. Saving her doesn't mean you get into a relationship with her. Saving them because maybe in these days when girls are so woke, a girl goes to a guy to ask him out, and the guy feels sorry for her, wants to commend her for her bravery, and so he agrees to the relationship. Please, no, don't do it. Don't date anybody out of pity. If it's not what you want, if it's not what you're ready for, be honorable enough to say no. That's strength of character. That's how a child of God should be. A child of God should be honorable. A child of God should have integrity. A child of God should be honest. If you're not ready for that relationship, say no. Don't date them out of pity. Have the tough conversations. Yes, in that time, the rejection may have hurt them. In that time, not having you when they wanted you would have hurt them. But in the long run, it makes them available to the people who can appreciate them. In the long run, they will appreciate you for not wasting their time. So please do what's right and don't date them out of pity. That is going to end up being a bigger mistake and a bigger hurt. The second point is dating a person regardless of stark differences that you have already noted. I made this mistake. I dated a person that I was genetically incompatible with because I was trusting God for a miracle, because I believed that love was going to win at the end of the day, that love was going to conquer it all. I also dated someone who had a very religious outlook to life than I did, who was on a different spiritual plane. Yes, we're both Christians, but our spiritual understandings were very different, very different. And so while they checked the boxes in other areas that mattered to me, these differences ended up being insurmountable. These differences ended up being the killer at the end of the day, ended up being the reason why we had to call off the relationship. So please don't make the same mistake that I did. If you're ready, and these differences need not be the things that I've mentioned. They could be ideological differences, they could be character differences, they could be differences in status, they could be differences in needs. I know that the world will say opposites attract. Yes, opposites attract. The fact that there's been an attraction doesn't mean you guys should now come together. Doesn't mean you should stay together. Doesn't mean that the relationship would work. Opposites attract, but opposites will not be blissful together. Complements are better. Where you guys have commonalities, where you guys have shared interests, those are the foundations that ensure that the relationship will be sustainable. So please, where you've already noted differences that are stark, don't waste your time. Or do you have all the time in the world? Really, it takes a lot to start a relationship, to keep a relationship. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of investment in terms of emotions, in terms of resources. So why do you want to gamble? I know I've done that before, and when I became wise, I wondered, why did I even do that in the first place? You think, oh, okay, that's fine, let's see how it goes. No, don't see how it goes. If you've already known in the beginning that there are a lot of differences between both of you, please don't start the relationship. Get back to being friends, please. The third point that I want to make is dating a person with whom you cannot be your authentic self. This is my best point out of everything, and I want you to listen and really understand. Life has many struggles. Why do you want to complicate it in being a relationship that has you putting up a facade? And also, a dating relationship is a relationship that has you wearing many hats. You wear the hat of a parent, a mother, or a father. In a relationship, you can be like a sibling. In a relationship, you're their best friend. In a relationship, you're their lover. And for a relationship that thrives onto being married, it's a relationship where you guys are involved in a much more intimate way. So you want to be with a person that can see you exactly as you are. You can't come with a mask. You can't come with pretenses. You can't come trying to be who you are not. So a mistake that people make is trying to, and also you cannot keep changing yourself for every person. You change yourself for color. Are you going to change yourself for Kunle also? Are you going to change yourself for Nonso? Are you going to change yourself for Team? No, you can't keep changing yourself. Be authentic. There are areas where you need to work and develop, but your core, the core of who you are, should never change. As a girl, for instance, are you with someone with whom you always have to wear makeup 24/7 when you're with them? You always have to buy a new dress when you're going for an outing. You cannot be truthful about your background. Or for women who have a lot of insecurities, are you with someone that makes you feel the need to hide aspects of yourself that you think are unlovable? Are you with someone that you cannot bear it all? You cannot, like, whatever causes you to hide, whatever causes you to take up a new appearance, whatever causes you to be who you are not, whatever causes you to step out of your skin, please don't be in it. It is so stressful and you cannot keep up with it in the long run. You will wear out, you'll be burnt out, and you'd never know for sure that they can love the real you. So show the real you. And if they don't love the real you, then come out of it. No hurts, no mistakes, no regrets. Don't be embarrassed. Come out of it. That person is not for you. Wait for the right person who can see all of you at your best, at your worst, on your cry days, on your sad days, on your hormonal days, and they still want to be with you. And for the men, you should also not be with someone who makes you want to grandstand. Don't be with someone who makes you want to be who you are not. Be with someone that can see your vulnerabilities. Be with someone that you can share your struggles with. Anything other than this is a disaster waiting to happen. It's a relationship that will not be the happiest. It's a relationship that will not have you being the very best version of yourselves. This is a dating mistake. Avoid it. Then 4, and very important, dating a person who's always trying to get you to have sex, or dating a person who is always making demands of you, making materialistic demands of you. Now, about the sex part, there are 2 sides to it. The fact that they are always trying to lead you into sex may be an indication that that's all they are there for. It's just for sex. It's just for all of that affair. As a child of God, what are you doing with that sort of relationship? Don't make excuses for them. Don't think that it is difficult to abstain. It is very easy. It is very easy. Until you come out of it and let the Holy Spirit work on you, you continue to think it's difficult. It is very easy. So be with someone who already has that like-mindedness. Be with someone who fears God enough to honor their body, because this is what God says, that your body is a temple. He says that you should present yourself as a living sacrifice. He has said that you should be holy even as your Father in heaven is holy. So getting into a relationship with someone that will cause you to abandon the commandments of God is a huge mistake. There is nothing that weighs on the conscience as much as sex. There is nothing that creates a breach as sex. When you've gone on to have sex or to do impure things, we're not talking sex alone, all of those fondling, please stop it. Stop it. Because you notice after you've done that, you can't pray, you can't commune, except for the person who has stilled their heart and the Holy Spirit no longer chastises them. But for the person who still has meekness of spirit, you just realize that there's a disconnect between you and God. Please come out of that relationship. I'm telling you categorically, come out of that relationship. You don't need to be there. So sometimes it could be that, yes, maybe they're not there for sex alone. Maybe they truly love you, but they don't have self-control. Or they don't fear God. Why do you want to be with someone who doesn't fear God? Why do you want to be with someone who doesn't have self-control? Because guess what? If they don't have self-control with you, they're probably doing it with other people. If they don't have self-control in the relationship, what's to say that they will have self-control for 50 years of marriage? You're already seeing someone who will cheat on you. So why do you want to stay in that relationship? Come out of it. Self-control is very important. That fear of God that keeps people in check is very important. I always state it. I always say it for myself that I cannot be with someone who doesn't love God, who doesn't fear God. I cannot trust that person to be authentic with me. I can't trust that person to be good to me. You have to fear God first. It is your fear of God that will make me trust you. So please don't be in a relationship with someone who pushes you to sex. Don't. Come out of it. If you are comfortable with sex, one of the popular things that they say is it deepens the bond. Sex doesn't deepen any bond. It forces you to stay in a bad relationship. It creates evil soul ties. You should only have a soul tie with someone you are married to. For those of you who have had sexual relationship, trust me, you need to go through a journey where you will have to submit to the Holy Spirit working on you to disconnect you from soul ties that should never have been. There is going to be that experience. So please don't keep the relationship going. Come out of it as quickly as you can. And then there's also the part where you're in a relationship with someone who is always making demands. Endless demands. They always want one thing or the other. And guess what? These demands are not even important things. They are not needs, they are frivolities. Two things. Once again, you have an indicator that that's what they're in their relationship for. And the second thing is that they lack contentment. So they always want things that they cannot afford. Always want things they cannot afford, and they will come to you for it. Can you sustain it? There's no telling how life would go in the 50 years, for instance, if people are dating to get married. In your 50, 60, maybe 70 years of marriage, will you be able to keep up with all of their demands? Because they are not content. What if something happens along the way that puts you in a difficult financial situation? Will this person stay, or they would want out? These are some of the things you should be thinking about. People have gone on to stay in relationships, and it was even in the relationship they found out that, oh, this person was only there for money, or this person was only there for sex. Don't wait for it. Don't wait to find out. It's a wrong relationship. Even if it leads to marriage, it doesn't mean that you've made the right choice. One of the things that I always say, that a relationship ended in marriage doesn't mean it should have happened. That a relationship ended with marriage doesn't mean that marriage is going well. No, there are people who get married and then they ended up divorced. Doesn't that show that they should not have gotten married in the first place, or that there were mistakes that maybe they could have fixed in the relationship? They took it to marriage and they could not fix it. So please, that's a wrong place to be in. And then the last but not the least, forcing a relationship to work. A relationship should work on its own merits. If you're in a relationship where you're begging for the simple things, you're begging for quality time together, you're begging for them to be affectionate towards you, you're begging them to meet you where you are at, they do not understand you, you are fighting over every trivial matter, there is a problem. It means that relationship should never have been. It means that two people are incompatible. It also means possibly that this person does not love you. Shouldn't keep that relationship going. Maybe you're in the talking stage and you already notice these things. This person doesn't call you, they don't check up on you, days go by, they've not heard from you, they're comfortable. communication is a struggle. I always state that one of the most important things in a relationship is communication. So at the minimum, your conversations should be free-flowing. If you are with someone and the conversations do not flow, you guys barely talk, you barely have things to talk about, what are you going to be doing in the marriage? You guys are going to be talking. So if you cannot talk already, what will the marriage look like? This is why people are in marriages and they feel alone. One of the things is that they are not friends. They cannot communicate. And so they feel alone even though there's someone in the house with them. They feel alone even though they are married to someone. They feel alone even though they're in a relationship. So a relationship should work on its own merit. Don't force the relationship to work. Ask yourself, if you don't do certain things, will the relationship still work? Sometimes that's an acid test. Back out. Don't do some of the things that you do and see if that relationship will still stand. See if that person moves forward to attempt to make the relationship work. If they don't, that's an indication that you're forcing it to work. That's an indication that you're in that relationship alone. You're the only one sustaining it, and it will wear you out. Sooner or later, you will not be able to make that relationship work. It should take two. So if you're forcing a relationship to work already, if you're forcing the talking stage to move on from talking stage to someone else, it is already an indication that someone has reservations, or that relationship should not happen. So don't force it. Do not let it happen. Don't force it. Don't try to start scheming. Don't try to start manipulating them to be with you. If you guys have been talking for a long time and that relationship is not progressing to the next stage, if you're always fighting over trivial matters, if they won't call you, if they won't check up on you, if they're not affectionate towards you, if they do not do the simple things for you, that relationship isn't working. That's going to be a dating mistake. Avoid it. Thank you very much. Those are the 5 that I have for you today. So today we have shared 5 dating mistakes. I also talked about indicators that it is not the right time to get into that relationship or to move that relationship on to marriage. I wanted to share your own insights also. I know there are many more insights. So share your own understanding. What are some dating mistakes that people can avoid? I want this channel to be one that offers value to people. Share your experiences also that you have learned. In my next video, I'll be talking about how to avoid sex and to maintain sexual purity in relationships. And so until we get back to that, it's your girl Olivia. Bye.